What a week, what a week, what a week. NFL Week 6 has wrapped up. Another great one that we excited to recap. Thank y'all for tuning in as you guys do. It's your boy G and Alec here. And check out the 100. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Continue to like, rate, subscribe, comment, share, all that good stuff. We appreciate it all. And definitely a fun week. As we discussed, we're here yet again, keeping things rolling. Every week we come in here and give our 3 truths after each week. We come in and have our him and not him of each week. We have our quick picks of each week. A lot of good stuff we want to get to and keep things rolling on this page here. And appreciate the opportunity to it. As we start, Alec, again, I'll pass it to you first. Just a quick first thought about what you saw this last weekend.
Yeah, big takeaway. No more undefeated teams in the league anymore. Both undefeated teams went down, so that was big. And then, yeah, just that teams are starting to separate themselves. We had a discussion maybe after the first 2 or 3 weeks where it was like, it seemed like maybe the NFC was like the better conference than we thought. Like where we thought the AFC was gonna have the powerhouses, but it seems like teams in both conferences are starting to separate themselves from each other.
Seems like teams are starting to separate, and that is true. But also, as you pointed out, there are teams at the top who are showing that they aren't as dominant as we thought they would be, or aren't as clearly up top as we thought they would be. So I thought I'd picture Anthony here. I'm gonna switch back to something else and actually start with that take. We go on to our 3 truths this week. Something I want to start off with was that something I've been saying to you for the past couple of weeks now. Every dog has his day. This last weekend, a few dogs had their day. A few of these top dogs that we thought we would continue to stay dominant took L's this last weekend. But that does not mean that they are frauds. When a top team loses to a team that's lesser than them, it does not mean they're exposed. It does not mean that this is now the proof that they are not who we thought they were and who they've proven themselves to be. Prior to that, there are a lot of folks jumping out to grand conclusions now. Oh, the Niners aren't good anymore. Oh, the Eagles, I knew they weren't that good. I saw it this weekend. There are a lot of folks that are ready to jump and come out with grand proclamations about teams after one weekend. And I want folks to kind of pump the brakes a little bit and understand that every team, we know in football, we rarely see perfection. Teams will lose at times and can still go on and have great seasons and go on to be Super Bowl teams. So as we look at the top teams here with the Eagles, as we look at top teams like the Niners, who also lost this weekend, even we turn to another team, let me see if I even have it. I don't have it. Even another team like the Bills, who were in a tough game against the Giants, who nobody's coming. There are a few squads that were like, oh, these teams that we all had listed as our top 3 or 4 teams in the league, and we thought it was clearly those guys, all looked bad this weekend. Now what do we do? It's like those teams are still the top dogs. They just it's proof of, as I said before, that there are good teams beyond the top dogs that can put up good fights against anybody, and the top dogs aren't as separated as it seems. So just that. Before, I don't want to keep reiterating, but just the main point again. That when a top team loses, it does not mean they are fully exposed and they can still go on to have great seasons. You agree with that or think otherwise?
Yeah, for the most part, I would agree. I guess I would just tweak it and say, like, it doesn't always mean that, because sometimes you can get a surprising exposure in a matchup, like the Cowboys getting exposed by the Cardinals in that blowout. Yeah, go for it.
Do you think they were a top 5 team, though?
We did, especially coming into the season. Maybe not just you and I, but I think consensus was they're a Super Bowl contender still, even with them being the Cowboys and having their kind of failures in the playoffs.
I guess I'm not in that we, but I guess I hear what you're saying. So I won't argue too much. Go ahead.
Yeah, but I think for the most part, like, I agree with you that just because a team that has been seen as a top dog loses to it doesn't mean that they're immediately frauds. I think in the 49ers case, like there's a lot of variables as to why they lost that game that you could point to. And then in the Eagles case, I don't think they're frauds. I think, like we've talked about, like they've figured out a way to win games, and they've been very successful at that for the past couple seasons. I think it just more so highlighted their flaws to a more prominent extent, and showed that they may not be as kind of infallible as they were last season. But that doesn't necessarily make them frauds. Like, I think frauds are teams like the Vikings of last year, who we saw had a light schedule and had a really bad defense, and we all kind of saw the writing on the wall that they're going to get bounced.
Those one possession games, they kept on, just getting lucky against lesser opponents. So I hear what you're saying. But yeah, I agree with you that they're also frauds. And this year, these top teams that we saw a lot of, few of which get tested and lose this week, I don't think they're fully exposed, and that it's going to mark the turn of what we thought they would be. So yeah, that's definitely something I wanted to point out, and we'll see how things can play out beyond it. This is after week 6 now, so we will have our rankings this week. I will say there will be a slight adjustment though with the rankings. I will acknowledge in this moment, as we look to where teams are right now in context of this being the moment, we have to acknowledge what did happen. But in regards to them falling all the way off, I'm not saying there's going to be a grand drop, but there is going to be a little shift in things in comparison to where they might have been had they continued on the path they have been prior to these losses. So we'll see about that. But going on from there to the picture I had up first, we talked a little bit about Anthony Richardson recently. We talked a little bit about how I saw some positive with this Colts squad and how I saw them as a potential target for even a guy like Devontae Adams. And folks get on me. Devontae didn't ask for a trade. Devontae didn't ask for a trade. Oh, he's going to stay with the Raiders. Whatever. That wasn't even the point. Y'all don't be listening. But now with the situation being as it is, and Richardson went down with the AC sprain. They're reporting that he most likely will be done for the season because he's going to have to get surgery in the coming weeks. I believe that's the right move for Anthony and this Colts squad going forward. They're a team that we now see has grand potential. We see that Anthony can be the franchise guy for the foreseeable future. We see that this team can work around him and build up, and now is back on a very positive trajectory. Last year, even though he had guys like Jonathan Taylor, there were pieces there that were already there. I guess tying into another point about having the quarterback, the icing on the cake. There were other pieces there before, but they didn't have a quarterback, so they looked like they were kind of in disarray. They have the quarterback now, and that guy can now be, I guess, I don't want to say nurtured, but I'll say nurtured. They can be nurtured right now as they still have some moves to make to fully get into contention. I don't think this year was the year that they thought they would be quite that. So because this wasn't really a contention year for them, go ahead and let him sit, let him get as healthy as he needs to be. If you guys fall in the standings and, oh, man, we're losing games, oh, no, you guys are going to end up with a good draft pick that now can be paired with Anthony when he returns. You guys can then put the pedal to the metal. I'm going forward from there. So, yeah, there are folks that are hesitant and like, oh, how do they find a way to get Anthony back this year because they were a good squad? There should not be any rush for Anthony Richardson to get back this season. Let him take as much time as he needs for the injury right now and gear up fully next year and beyond. So that's my second truth this week that I wanted to address. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, like I think my only pushback would be that while he has shown tremendous promise, like in the games that he has played, he hasn't made it through any of those games healthy. And so like, I don't know if I could be 100% confident that going forward with him as the franchise guy, you're going to get 16, 17 games out of him going forward. You like the some of the tools that he have. He wasn't completing passes at a hugely high rate. I think he was slightly above 50%. But that's something that can improve as he matures in the game. But I think if I'm the Colts, like I'm not 100% certain that he necessarily is the guy. I think he's shown flashes to where you think he can be, but you're not like 100% confident that it's a guarantee, I guess, at this point, because we haven't, I guess he played in 3 games and got banged up in all 3 of the games. So yeah, I guess I would have a little bit of concern going forward still if I'm in that Colts organization.
I guess to look at both sides of it. On one side, you don't want to send a bad message by immediately jumping ship on this player.
Sure.
Yes, there already is shown even a slight track record now, as you pointed out, that he may have an injury proneness to him that needs to be catered to. So on that regard, that can be adjusting, and the team should do their best to make sure that he's protected going forward, and that fully is understood. On the flip side, as I say, if this thing does fall and it falls completely off, which I don't think it will, that you have good pieces that still can sustain, have at least a solid season beyond it. But if it completely does fall off, and you're now sitting there, and maybe not Caleb, but if even Michael Penix is sitting on the board still, if Drake May is on the board still, I can understand why you'd be like, you know what, gotta do what I gotta do, man.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, thing to look at there. As I pointed to, I think early on, I think one of my first takes about how this good QB class can shift some teams' plans. That very well could be the case for the Colts as well, and we'll see how that plays out. All the Colts know what it's like to have a quarterback that they had high hopes for, get the injury bug, and be like, I can't sustain, I can't do this. So with some fears there because of that team being who they are, I could see them going the other way. But I also could see how they have shown enough. There's been enough flash, even in the three games, as you said, the 3 games that he's played, that they could say we're going to ride things out with this guy and see where it takes us. So very interesting thing to see how they handle it. The Colts had the best QB luck, and hopefully they that's a play on words like Evie itself right there. But Evie I didn't realize, but hopefully they could work things out with Anthony and have a successful future going forward, because we liked what you saw. We saw high hopes for
exciting player for sure. Yeah,
that may have even led, as I joked about, to why Jonathan Taylor came back, and then right when Jonathan Taylor gets back, we got QB now. I'm going to stay. The QB gets hurt again, and now he's like, all right, well, great. So is what it is, but hopefully they can get things back on track as need be. So good stuff there, hopefully, and we'll see how it plays out. Those are my 2 truths this week. Definitely wanted to address. Alec, as I pass to you, what are your thoughts after week 6?
Yeah, mine is sticking with the quarterback position, and we saw a good game, a good Monday night game last night between the Chargers and the Cowboys. Which, quick note, Dak had a good game, man. He bounced back pretty nicely in that game.
He played good versus the Chargers, and we said the Chargers. So I mean,
I'll give him the Chargers to win.
I did. Yeah. So I'll give him his props. You got me.
But I want to talk about the Chargers quarterback, who has kind of been anointed as the second coming of Christ by many. And while I do believe he is a really, really good quarterback, I think plenty of teams would be happy to have him as their starter. Like, there's probably only maybe 3 or 4 teams that wouldn't take them over their current starter. I don't believe he is elite yet. Like, and I'm saying yet. I think he can get there. But I don't think we should be anointing him as this elite guy yet. Like, he's had plenty of opportunities in close games and games that matter to lead the game-winning drive, lead them to a victory, and he just has come up short in pretty much all of them that I can remember. I saw people pull up the stat that he's, I believe, 3rd overall in game-winning drives since he's been in the league. But that more so points to the fact that the Chargers have been in close games, like almost all of his games that he's in are close games. And I don't know what the ratio is of wins to losses in that. Like, I don't know what his losses are in those close games either. But yeah, I think he has elite traits. Like, he has elite arm talent and can make every throw on the field. But he was overthrowing guys. Like, he had a couple wide open throws to Keenan Allen that he missed last night. And then when it's come down to those crunch time moments, you got 2 minutes left. You got the chance to take your team down the field. He throws an interception to lose the game. So I'm not saying that him at his worst, which is what that game kind of was last night, is who he is. I'm saying that he is yet to put it all together to be that true elite quarterback who people want to anoint him as already. And I think he can get there, but he's not there yet.
I agree. People had stamped him as the next coming, as you said. They thought he would be all of a sudden in the bag of chips, and whatever phrase you want to use for him. And he has not yet quite lived up to that. We see in ways why folks had their doubts in the draft. We saw why folks were taking for Tua instead of Herbert, and while folks had a moment where like, oh, maybe the Dolphins got it wrong. We saw that Tua has become what folks thought he would be, at least to some degree. He is playing pretty good now with the offense they built alongside him. And then the Chargers squad is still trying to find its way. Yes, the Chargers themselves too, so that surely plays its part. But Herbert was supposed to be the kind of the savior to that. He was supposed to be the one to break the mold of what they were. I mean, he has not been able to break through that, and now has stumbled upon his own shortcomings in games when called upon the most. So, yeah, I agree with you that he is not quite. I can't quite stand him as elite. Like, he has the traits of an elite guy, as you said. Yeah. He has not had the production fully to match that. And yeah, something has to give that we'll address it at a later point. But for this moment right now, I'll leave it at that, and just agreeing with you that he has not been quite what we hoped he would be.
And I don't think saying he's not an elite is a knock either. Like, he's probably like maybe like the 6th best quarterback in the league. Like he's still really, really good, like we're saying, but he's just not quite on the level of a Mahomes, a Burrow when healthy, a Josh Allen yet. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. People thought we'd be getting an MVP season from him in the near future, and it doesn't seem like he's on track for that just yet. People thought he'd have some playoff runs by now. Hasn't done any of that yet. Had the run last year, and we saw how that ended. Or at the game last year, and we saw how that ended. So yeah, just him and this Chargers squad, a team that has all the flash and flair, and the jerseys are the nicest jerseys in the league, and people love how they look. But when it comes to actually producing, when it comes down to actually producing that what to match it, they don't have the production to quite match the appearance. So yeah, he is that, and we'll get more into it. But that's what I was going to say. You mentioned just that there were throws that could have been there even last night. Yeah, I think Kellen Moore put together a good game plan. I thought things could have worked out for them. He forced some passes in ways that shouldn't have been forced. He overthrew some guys, as you point out. This is the picture from one where he overthrew a guy. Like it just he missed the mark a few times that could have gotten over the hump and maybe look smart, but it is what it is.
That last interception, like he had Eckler wide open in the middle of the field too, where he could have went to. So yeah,
bad look. So it is what it is. We'll talk about them more later on, but for now, that is it. Those are 3 truths for the week. Let us know what you guys think about those. Let us know what you think, what your takeaways are from this last week. I'll be sure to talk to you about those in the comments as well. So good stuff with that.